and the governments of the EU and US are standing by and wringing their hands while the horrors unfold in Gaza. And that makes them complicit in those horrors as well. And those horrors include a developmental crisis as people still sit in the rubble of their homes because they're not allowed to rebuild them because Israel won't allow the goods through. It includes an education crisis. A whole generation of children are missing out on schools because the Israeli authorities won't allow education materials through. And it is a humanitarian crisis because we know so many people in Gaza are suffering from lack of food and clean water. And we are here to say that siege must end now. I went to Gaza and saw for myself what's happening there, and I met with John Gings, who's from the UN agency there, and he said this. He said the inhumanity and the illegality of the situation is that the goods are there to distribute. It's just a question of opening the gates. Well, we're here today to shame our government into helping them to open those gates. And we're here to pay tribute to those brave people who risked their lives, and 9 of them paid with their lives in order to sail to Gaza to open those gates. And we have to put pressure on Israel, for example, by suspending the EU-Israel Association Agreement. That isn't an agreement whereby Israeli goods are coming into Britain and the rest of the EU at preferential advantage. They are receiving preferences at the same time as they are perpetrating state terrorism. Now, the association agreement has a human rights clause. That clause says that if there are abuses of human rights, that agreement should be suspended. And so we're here to say, when are enough human rights abused? Enough is enough. The occupation is enough. The settlement expansion is enough. The house demolitions are enough. The illegal war is enough. The Operation Cast Lead was enough. And now the killings on the convoy are enough. Enough is enough. We need actions, not words. Open the gates, bring freedom and justice to the Palestinians. Just 2 more things, please. Can you ask your MPs to sign Early Day Motion 127? It's a small thing to do, but it's a test of whether they are or they are not on the side of justice and peace. Get them to sign EDM 127. And
we do not now need, and nor should the world, to wait for another disaster. If you think about it, every time there is a disaster, there is a little action. But how long do we need to carry on waiting? And I think that this assault on non-violent protesters taking humanitarian aid to Gaza should be the last straw for large numbers of people. And I would say the following to the Turkish government: you have been strong in words. You have said what has not been said before by any NATO country. But go one step further and break off all diplomatic and trade relations with Israel. It's not enough to say we will not have military maneuvers with them. You should never have been having military maneuvers with them. It's not enough to say we will withdraw our ambassadors. Your ambassador should never have been there as long as the Palestinian people were oppressed. and the same message goes to the regime of Hosni Mubarak in Egypt. And we say to Hosni Mubarak and the people who surround him, $2 billion worth of American aid each year to do their bidding is blood money. It's money you should reject, and if you reject that one money, you might win some self-respect and some respect from your own people. That the Egyptian regime has opened the frontier is good, but it should go beyond that. It should break down the walls it is building. It should open the frontier permanently, and it should break off all relations with Israel. And I will go further. Those within the Palestinian liberation movement who thought that they could get a deal with the Israelis by going on their knees, now it is time to learn that is not possible. The Israelis will never give you a deal. The only way forward is through mass solidarity.